Yo, what's up? How you doing? How are you? My name's Anthony, and this is Mitigating Madness. At least the beginnings of it. All right. So, before we get started on anything, just do me a favor. See that little button on the bottom that says subscribe? Tap it. There's a little thumbs up. Give it a thumbs up. Shit, give it a thumbs down if you think that I need something to work on. But comment. Let me know if you like something. If you don't, if you got a story of your own, share it. Share it. I love this sort of stuff. So, where shall we begin? This is actually a side story, if we can. A bonus, a little add-on to the Llorona story that I've been talking about. Again, this isn't necessarily going to be me just talking about my own experiences, but I'll share them if there's an open ear, and if it means I can practice, the art of telling a vocal story, because I need some practice. I say a lot. I stumble. I have the ingredients up here. It's actually putting the recipe together, at least on camera. That gets a little tricky sometimes. That being said, let's get to this. When did this happen? So this was actually in the midst of the vacation, where the interactions with the experience with La Llorona, at least that's what I'm calling it. It could be anything, where that happened. So we're about a week in at this point. Mind you, yeah, I'm having the night terrors. Yeah, I'm having bouts of sleep paralysis and feelings of things being in the room and everything. But for the most part, aside from my sister, I'm not really telling anyone. We had some friends of the family, cousins that are, well, not cousins. Yeah, no, not at least not to me. So we had some friends of the family involved in this one. Children of friends of the family. And, we just call them all cousins. So, for the sake of it, it was 4 of us. It was myself. It was Lou. It was, what was her brother's name? We'll just call him Dolph. Dolph. It was myself, Lou, Dolph, and their cousin, if I remember correctly. Let's just say Michelle. So, Lou, Dolph, Michelle, and myself, right? Now, we were in, if anyone knows the area, Izúcar de Matamoros. It's this quaint little town, but the streets are kind of, at least when you get into the city, they're a little bit more grid patterned, but when you get into, where was it? I don't want to say the exact street, but the neighborhood, something that Rosas, if I remember correctly. The streets start to wind a little bit. They start off in a bit of a grid pattern, but then they start, they're going up into mountains and into hills and everything. So they start going off. If you've ever been to Hollywood, been up to like the Hollywood Hills, then something like that. There is a structure to it, but a little bit more so than the hills. But it's in that vein where, streets just kind of go off and exist in their own space. So, this was later in the day. I believe we just been out in El Zócalo, just kind of buying stuff, just going around doing vacation shit in the city. Excuse me. And so it was myself, Lou, Dolph, and Michelle, and we're walking. They just go, "Hey, Anthony, you want to check out the neighborhood? We're gonna go to the store, but we're gonna drive, but we can walk. It's across the neighborhood, but we can do it." I'm like, yeah, sure, why not? They knew I was into graffiti and painting and all that sort of shit at the time, so they were like, "Nah, we know some walls that you can check out, and you can see some of the murals that are up there." Homegirl Michelle knew her cousin, ended up being a buddy of mine for a while, a writer out there, Spock. He lived up this road. So then we went by. I think that's what we introduced. Later on, we actually got together. He hooked me up, and we painted some dope murals in the area, but that's besides the point. So we meet him, and then from there, we just keep walking across the town, down little streets and everything. Now, where I grew up, I'm used to having my antennas up. You just gotta make sure you're not being followed. You gotta make sure corners are clean and everything. There's nobody standing around in the dark passageways. Nobody's waiting to get a little treat out of you. So I'm used to that sort of thing. I saw the time, I saw the neighborhood, and while I felt comfortable, I also knew, don't get too comfortable walking around here, especially not for nothing. Not that I rock anything fancy, but you could tell that I wasn't from the area, right? So we're walking, sun's going down, it looks like apocalypse now, the beauty of the orange sky, and we make it to the store. We come back, and the entire time that we're walking back, there's some people around, and I'm seeing, so again, I'm vigilant. After a few blocks, mind you, winding blocks, you gotta have a destination in mind. So you're not just, this isn't like a random block in New York or in Jersey where you could just, you're walking and there might be a bodega, there might be 3 different restaurants on the way, there might be a deli. There's nothing. Like, you're going with a mission, right? And so far, the only mission that can be seen there is us walking ahead. So I start seeing less and less people. Expected. I hear the cars, and we start getting farther in to the point where there's not as many cars coming by. So what I'm trying to say is that it's getting dead. The darkness is encompassing everything. The sun is setting. The lights start to go on, and they're slow. They're delayed. It looks like a horror film. And the entire time I'm seeing, as cars would go by, lights going in between buildings, in between cracks and alleyways and everything, I'm seeing, I can see the shadows of people hanging out, doing their thing, minding their own business, letting us do our thing. But there's one that I keep seeing just walking. Again, the street, anybody can walk. But I keep seeing this. Now we start taking our path. And as expected, see less and less and less people, to the point where our path is so local that really, unless you live in any of the houses on these streets, you're not really going to be in there, at least at that time of the day. I keep seeing this dude, so now I'm getting a little paranoid. But Lou is in front of me, I got Dolph to the side of me, and I got Michelle over there, and we're all just they're talking, they're running their mouths, telling stories and everything. And I think Lou is the only one that sees me kind of like looking off to the side. But they don't say nothing, and I don't say nothing to them because I don't need to panic them, and plus they know this neighborhood better than I, so maybe I'm making a fuss over nothing. That was until enough of an amount of time passed where it became evident to me that we're being followed. And I kept seeing the shadow of like a skinny dude or a person walking behind us, and always about a block's distance away. I turn around every once in a while, and I see a silhouette of someone just kind of stepping to the side or doing something. Now I'm keeping in mind it's 4 of us, but they don't. As far as I know, they ain't really prepared to do anything. And whoever's back there, I don't know if they're working solo or if they're working, with a group or something. So I'm just trying to keep us ahead. And we start walking, and I'm going to where all the lights are and everything. We stop in a shop. We stop in some cafe for like internet cafe or something, and we come out. I'm thinking, okay, we're good. We start walking again, and would you believe it? I see the shadow again. So now I think the others had started to notice, but whatever, right? But they ain't say none. So we walk a couple more blocks, and finally I turn around and I'm like, nah, what's up? Now I didn't call anybody out, but I turned around and I just kind of stopped. I was like, all right, we're gonna see what's up. And I turn around. And now this shadow, I could see the shadow of whoever this was kind of like stepping to the side, right? And I turn around, and I don't see anybody. And it's a clear street. There's a couple cars, old cars, parked to the left-hand side with a few street lamps, far apart and barely working. Some of them are dimming out and everything. And I'm looking at this corner where like there's no other spot where someone could have ran. It's open fields, but like you could see. Broken houses, but not enough time. Like I turned around quick, there wasn't enough time. But I saw what looked like somebody was hiding behind a car. So I'm like, okay. So I wait, I make no noise, and then I tell my friends, just go ahead. What comes out from behind the car wasn't a person, even though I could have sworn up until that moment I saw a person's shadow. What came out was a dog, a ratty looking street dog. Now they're everywhere over there, so first of all I was like, well, I wouldn't be surprised. Plus, they follow you. I like to feed them, so they follow us and everything. But I also remember, I was like, very clearly, you could see our shadows. Because there was a long wall. I don't know if it was property or whatever that was on our right-hand side. That's where you could see the shadow. Like, it was just a clean wall. And you could see ours, you could see the car shadows, and you could see whoever was moving. It's clear as day. And not once did I ever see a dog. Not even a hint of another shadow, not nothing. So I'm like, okay. I turn around. I catch up with my buddies. Now this dog is out in the open. It's not like the person who kept, hiding. This dog is just clearly walking down the middle of the street towards us, but not fast. Maintain the same distance. I told my buddies, I'm like, hey man, not for nothing. Like, we've been getting followed, I think, but funny enough, turned around and there was a dog. They looked at me and they said, excuse me, are you serious, Anthony? Or are you just kind of like trying to mess around with us? What's going on? I told them, no, look, it's right there. We turn around, the dog is right there, but again, hiding. They said, don't run, but walk fast. We walked fast, and I mean like power walk. Like, listen, every single mother in the 80s would have been proud of our stride. It was amazing. I got a good sweat in that night, actually. And we walked up, ran up this hill, and hung out in another shop that they knew. They mentioned to the owner or whatever, and I forgot what it was they brought out, but they put out some stuff against the door, and we hung out for about 10 minutes or so, got something to drink, and then started walking back. And never again heard anything of it. I genuinely felt like the eyes that had been on us were gone. I don't know who it was. There was rumors going around the neighborhood that there was brujas and there was Nahuales and everything, and that they knew who it was, and there was a gentleman who had been one that they followed, that someone got attacked or something, that this wolf or coyote or something was spying. They followed him after an attack, and then they found this dude and took him out and everything. But that they know that there was probably one or another, some crazy stuff. But it was a story that stuck with me and that I loved since it's happened. I don't think I've had too many experiences when it comes to at least physical cryptids or anything like that. At least nothing that I'm aware of. I've had a lot, or a moderate amount when it comes to the more ethereal, the more ineffable, the ghosts, the energies, things like that. And I think the older I've gotten, I think that third eye has closed up a bit, probably because I've allowed it to be so. But in terms of the physical stuff that I've seen, that I've experienced, I think this is one of my favorites. Nothing harmed me. If it was trying, then it didn't. At least not that I'm aware of. And it was cool to have other people witnessing at least parts of it with me. And yeah, look, it could have just been a dog, but I don't know. Something in the moment told me that it wasn't. Something in the moment, the feeling in the air, the energy was palpable, and I just know something else was there. And Mexico is a land of magic, of sincere magic. The grounds have such beautiful, rich history. It doesn't surprise me that our neighbors, Native Americans towards northern Mexico and everything, that share a lot of similar foundations in their belief system. If you're talking about like pre-Hispanic natives and their connection with the earth and all that, but whatever. That's a sidebar. Now, anyways, this was one of my favorite encounters with the unknown, and I am open to having more, but I do know that it's a tricky situation when you open that door and let them in. So I trepidatiously allow that part of reality to at least poke its head in and say hello whenever I'm out and about. And if you stuck around, thank you. These are getting a little easier for me to do the more I do them, and I'm enjoying them. It's almost therapeutic to be able to be here in this quiet room, set up this, it's a little setup, and just get things off my mind and kind of escape the madness that is the world we live in right now. So thank you. And once again, if you'd be so kind, hit one of those buttons, the thumbs up, hit the thumbs down or the thumbs up. Either one is fine. Let me know in the comments what you think it could be worked on, what you like, what you don't. And really, most importantly, what I would like is if you've had an experience of your own, a true experience of your own, doesn't have to be ghosts. You know, you might have seen something that you just don't know how to explain. You might have maybe a doppelganger, maybe a synchronicity or something. You know, whatever your experience might have been, feel free to comment it down below and I'll happily read that. And maybe we could talk about it on here. All right. Until then, I bid you adieu. Thank you for stopping on by. Hit that subscribe button and we'll talk again soon. This has been Mitigating Madness. Thank you for stopping by.